here for LowKick MMA, and I'm pleased to be joined by Liz Carmouche, who will fight at Bellator 256 April the 9th when she meets Vanessa Porto. Liz, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I really appreciate the time. It's been a little while since we've seen you inside the Bellator cage. You made your debut in September of last year. Big win, round 3 RNC. What did you learn from that fight? Because you did have to overcome a little bit of adversity in that second round.
Yeah, in that second round, I injured my hand at the first 3 seconds, first 10 seconds, something like that. So the rest of the round, I was trying to recover. And when I came out in the third, I just told myself that screw this hand. I'm not going to let it hold me back. I'm getting this win. I'm getting the finish. I'm going to start Bellator on a strong note. And I need to let people know that I'm not just the type of person that goes to the decision, but I want a strong finish. So I came out, ignored the hand, and did exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and obviously, as I mentioned, this was your Bellator debut. Did you feel any added pressure to really go in there and make a statement, leaving the UFC and now here with a new promotion, a new home?
Yeah, absolutely. There was definitely, not placed on me from my coaches, not placed on me from Bellator. I didn't feel it from other people. It was more internal. I wanted to really start a new chapter with the bang and show people that the fighter that they saw in the UFC just didn't have an opportunity to really showcase all my skill sets. And I wanted to make sure that I said that, like, I'm starting a new organization. It's going to be with the bang. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a name for myself and come out with a finish, not just a decision win.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the debut victory there. What has life been like for you since we've gotten through the holidays? The pandemic has obviously been affecting everyone here in 2020, and now even a little bit in 2021. Just run me through what this last year has been like for you.
Yeah, it's been really difficult in trying to find training partners. I had so many teammates that left California, trying to be hopeful the gyms are going to reopen, be hopeful they could find a place where they wouldn't get in trouble for training, the personal contact, all that. I had so many people move to Texas, like, hey, we can go live our lives again if we move to Florida and Texas. So tons of training partners left. And that was really difficult for a long time, or just having to build a gym in my garage and do things like that. And kind of like, oh, well, gym shut down. Let me go buy mats and lay it out in the gravel road, and let's just roll and train and spar in weird places and things like that. Or like, hey, we weren't able to get mats, so we're just gonna do it on the grass and be hopeful that we don't roll in something nasty. So it's been difficult in that. And, like all of us, I have some of my friends that were amateur on the cusp of going pro, like they're about to make their pro debut when COVID hit and haven't been able to do so. And really, I feel like that has been the hardest thing, is keeping their motivation and encouraging them to just keep on that road and wanting to train together, because they're like, well, I don't know when I'm going to go pro, so why do I need to get in the gym? Why do I need to train? Why should I meet you? It's like, well, one, selfishly, I need help. I need a training buddy. But two, if you stay ready when a phone call comes, you'll be able to take that last minute phone call that somebody else had to turn down.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, you're still in the San Diego area, correct?
I am, yeah.
Is it as beautiful as I remember?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm spoiled here.
I remember I moved back to New England from California in 2013, and I made a special stop to make sure that I could see your fight against Ronda Rousey, which obviously was epic. It was your trailblazer for women's MMA. I can't believe it's been 8 years from now. How much have you grown just as a fighter and as a person and just in the sport of MMA since then?
Oh, I've grown exceptionally. I feel like the person in 2013, one of the unfortunate things for me is when I started off, there wasn't really a platform for amateur fighting for women. So I had one fight as an amateur, and then I went pro. So after 4 months of training, I was a professional fighter. And you can't say that for so many people. So the first few years of my career was what I would equate to being the equivalent of somebody's amateur career. So the mistakes that I made were in my early parts of my professional career. And I feel like even that fight with Ronda, I was 3 years into training. Like not many people say, like, hey, here you are, your first fight in the UFC. And really, I'm still an amateur fighter. So it's still a learning experience. I feel since then, I've started to change and shift into what I really now consider to be my professional career. And there's a lot more lessons I learned as far as how to take care of myself better, which I was not doing at all before. I wasn't prioritizing and thinking that my body is a machine that needs to be able to put on all these fights and showcase it. So take care of that machine. Like, you change your oil, you put in gas, and I just wasn't doing any of the basic maintenance for a vehicle that I was doing for my body. So I've definitely learned from that, made changes. I've been able to challenge myself in ways and step out of norms that I wasn't doing before, and just keep trying to find new things to push myself to new levels. So I think that I've grown substantially over the last few years.
Can you try and put into words what the nerves were like for you walking out to that fight to fight Ronda? Because it was such a huge event. I got to imagine you must have been just going through the roof with anxiety and just excitement to get in there and just get it over with.
Yeah, I feel like I went through every emotion you could think of backstage, but the moment that I crossed that threshold and felt the energy of the crowd, like I've described it before, it was energetic, and there was a static, like you could feel the energy in the air physically on your skin, like make your hair stand up. So once I crossed that threshold, every negative emotion I experienced was completely gone. I was just excited to get in there and just put on a show.
Yeah, and you were so close. How close were you to get that submission? I felt like you had it there, and then ultimately it didn't go your way.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, I thought that, oh my God, I might actually have to break somebody's neck on television with as far back as her neck was twisting, or that I might break her jaw. And I was like, hey, for the belt, for this, I don't care. If that's what happens to happen on television, I'm sorry. That's just going to have to happen. I definitely thought that I had that finish, and I was surprised when she didn't tap to it.
Yeah, well, here you are now in Bellator. So the UFC is a thing of the past. You have a new home. Tell me, what are the biggest differences with the promotion of Bellator now from the UFC?
I think it's hard for me just because I left the UFC right before COVID started and entered into Bellator right at the start of it. So I don't feel like it's a fair comparison to do COVID Bellator versus UFC regular lifestyle. I think if I had had the COVID experience with the UFC and then doing the same thing with Bellator, that I could really give you a fair comparison. Because I'm fighting. I went from fighting with crowds to my first fight again being without crowds, things like that. But the great thing is the Bellator organization, a lot of the people that work for the organization had been with Strikeforce. And I was with Strikeforce before the UFC bought them out. And all the people that I had great relationships and a great rapport with in Strikeforce are working for Bellator now. So that's been great, being to see so many different faces. Everybody's been so welcoming. I haven't had a negative experience yet in Bellator. And I can't say that I didn't have that in the UFC even early on. So that is a significant difference coming into Bellator.
Gotcha. And I'm really pumped up about this Showtime deal. I think it's a great move for Bellator. What is your take on that?
I'm really excited. One, I think just as a television fan and a lot of the TV shows I like just from Showtime. So being like, hey, cool, this is a network I really like. And now we get to be on that. So that's cool. But also just to have Bellator be on such this mainstream network where I feel like they're going to get a lot more notoriety and a lot more showcasing for Showtime being on there. So I think it's just going to be a great transition for all of us.
Yeah. Can you give anybody that's watching a suggestion for a show to really tune into and watch on Showtime?
I was a big L Word fan. That was, I think, what really got my attention to Showtime. And that's what I think everybody should check out. But of course, obviously we're going to be on Bellator, so that's what people should look into now.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. And the first event is right around the corner here. Let's talk about this camp. How has it been for you? The fight's right around the corner. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. Weight's really on point. I feel like I can almost just walk onto the scale, which for 125, I definitely keep my weight a lot lower and I manage it better. So I do have some weight to usually have to lose, but it's just been a smooth camp. I've been able to make those better transitions, which during COVID, I felt like that would probably be more difficult. But the nice thing about COVID is it gave me more time to focus on the difference between being a 135er and being a 125er. So I've been making those dietary changes, some lifestyle changes that I feel like have really helped substantially for this camp. I've been able to focus on all the things that I didn't have for recovery and how to maximize and be efficient with my time to make sure that I have all the recovery stuff in place. So I feel really healthy going into this. Weight's good. The training partners that I have just been letting me abuse their bodies and prep for this fight. And the other good thing is Pearl Gonzalez is one of my teammates, and I was able to watch tons of tape in preparation for her fighting Vanessa Porto. So it was like, oh, okay, well, cool. I've already studied this opponent. I already made tons of notes for it, watched tons of tape. I already know what to expect. Cool. This kind of is really easy to implement into my own game plan, having studied this in preparation for somebody else.
Yeah, and you're clearly a significant veteran here in the sport. She has more fights than you, so this is a really intriguing matchup. When you look at Vanessa as a fighter, stylistically, how do you think this fight shakes out?
I think that more and more it's kind of difficult to say because I feel like more fighters are well-rounded. It's not like if you had asked me 5 or 6 years ago and somebody like, oh, they're predominantly Muay Thai, they're predominantly a grappler. Most women are predominantly mixed martial artists. And that's certainly the case here. I can see us standing and banging and just going toe to toe. I can see it being a grind back and forth on the cage, ground and pound, submission attempts on the ground. But no matter where it goes, I'm going to capitalize and take every opportunity I can.
Ultimately, how do you see it ending? Does this go the distance, or do you get your hand raised via knockout or submission?
I'm looking for a finish again, just like my first fight in Bellator. I want to keep doing that. I don't want to look for decisions wins anymore. I want to finish every single fight.
All right, last question for me. 2021 goals. What is it you're hoping to accomplish here in the promotion?
I think I'm pretty clear, and I have been with my voice, that I want to have that belt. I want to bring it back to San Diego and bring it back home.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time. Before I let you go, if there's any sponsors you have, the floor is yours, and tell people where to follow you on social media.
Absolutely. On social media, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram as I am Gorilla. On Facebook, it's Liz Carmouche Official. And I want to do a big shout out to my training partner, Enrique Marte. He's been the biggest body and the biggest influence, who's been able to help me out and let me destroy him without second guessing if it compromises him. So thank you so much, as well as to the Arena and Holistic Hyperbarics.
Awesome. Thank you again. Appreciate you both. Best of skill come fight night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Take care.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.